And hi everyone, I'm Rick Zanotti with eLearn Chat, Management Consulting Tips 101. Today let's talk about LMS or Learning Management Systems. Learning Management Systems. Everyone has them. Most people hate them. Why? Well, for one, people don't understand what the learning management systems do. For another thing, they cost a lot. Do they have to? No. If you're a small company, you don't need a $500,000 LMS system. You just don't. You probably aren't tracking half of what they track, or you aren't using 90% of the functionality that they provide. So what do? You spend a lot of money, or you go with something that makes more sense for what you are doing. If you're a large company, you probably need one of the more advanced learning management systems, something like a Cornerstone or a similar system. They provide a lot of functionality, a lot of features. They're not cheap, but you will get your money's worth, and they provide almost everything you could want. But a learning management system usually is implemented incorrectly. It's not the fault of the vendors. It's usually the fault of the companies that like to buy the systems and then take shortcuts to making them work correctly. For example, if you buy a learning management system, keep in mind their costs can be prohibitive. If you look at the cost of your distribution, manufacturing, financial, banking, whatever system you use, they usually cost more than those systems, which is a little bit insane, especially if you don't use them correctly. A learning management system can provide you with a ton of information. Sadly, most people use them to simply provide complete, incomplete, a simple score, or maybe something else. They don't provide any of the information that you may want, like how long you're in a course, how many things have you gotten right or wrong. Are you getting certain things wrong all the time, or is there a trend among your group to get things wrong? These are important things that you can, if you're not tracking key performance indicators in your LMS, things that will show that you are improving your performance, then the LMS is only working halfway for you. It's at half strength. If you're only doing complete, incomplete, here's a quick course, pass, fail, maybe remediation, maybe not, that's it. You're getting half of what that learning management system can do. Are you tracking variables? Are you tracking information? Can you track that information back to performance? Key performance indicators. If you know anything about business, key performance indicators will tell you where your business is, how it's doing, whether it's strong, whether it's weak, whether you have enough cash flow, whether your people are learning in this case. Are they performing? Taking a course doesn't mean you've learned anything to improve your performance. So it's very important to make sure that you are learning and improving the performance. That may require tying your LMS into maybe a data warehouse or maybe a talent management system. Now you can start setting baselines for what people are supposed to be doing in performance. Those are the baselines, key performance indicators baseline. And then you could set up other indicators like, let's say you have a customer service rep. Are they performing faster? Are they doing more calls per hour? Are they less time on a particular phone call? Are there less lawsuits happening? Are there more complaints, less complaints? More time on the phone, less time on the phone? All of that. Are they answering the questions correctly or incorrectly? Are they performing the service that you want or not performing it? All of these can be tracked as key performance indicators. And what they would do is generally tell you, are you performing better? Because if you don't have those key performance indicators, you have no real way of knowing what's being performed. The LMS can help you track all of that. I know quite a few companies that don't turn on the tracking of variables. So as a result, you can't track specific nitty-gritty information on certain subjects. So what you have is you have the simple information. They took the course, how long they were in the course maybe. Did they pass? Did they complete or incomplete? That's probably about it. You may not track much else. You may not care about much else, but be forewarned. Depending on what you're training, like we talked about in a previous video on compliance, you could be legally responsible or liable for some of the things you're tracking or not tracking. Something to keep in mind. Check with your lawyers, check with your risk people, check with your compliance people. Many times they don't understand that part of risk or compliance. So it's important that they understand the risk of training or not remediating. Very important. The LMS should also be your menu. So for example, let's say you have courses on, let's just stick with compliance for now. You have 20 courses in compliance. Well, the LMS should be the menu for that, and it is. They launch the courses. However, if you have courses that are comprised of multiple lessons, then you want to break those into individual. Don't create a course that's 2 hours long. It's too long. Nobody will remember it. And even bookmarking may not always work well. So do it based on completions of previous content. If you can do that, then there's a good chance you'll be able to actually track courses better. You can track the individual lessons in a course, and until they successfully complete each lesson, they can't move forward, and that makes it better. People don't do that. You should. Some people do, but a large majority don't. So as a result, your LMS is nothing more than a course launcher. That doesn't help you much. If you have multiple lessons, segments, whatever you want to call it, chapters, all of those should be separated into individual content objects. So you have your course at the top, and then you have all of the individual content objects, lessons, or chapters that they have to complete. Your assessments should really be outside of the course. Why? Assessments can change. The course may not. Or the course may change. Assessments may not. That way you never have to publish everything twice. You really don't. It also makes more sense because they can't get to an assessment until they pass maybe the whole set of lessons. Or you may have assessments after each lesson. That gives you more control over what the people are doing, and it also organizes content much, much better. Again, if you have a lot of questions, those questions can be answered after each lesson or at the end of the whole course. That makes much more sense, and it's much easier to update that assessment at the end than have to republish the whole course all over again. Think how much time you'd save, not only for your T&D, L&D departments, but also for you yourself. You can track things differently and have better tracking as you go. So these are just things to keep in mind. Make your LMS a friend. Make it something useful, not just something that costs a lot that everybody hates. There are many different LMSs out there. Probably the top one right now, as I write this at the beginning of March 2019, I'd say Cornerstone is probably one of the top ones. There are many other ones. If you want a less frilled one that doesn't have as many features but does a very good job, go look at Bloom by Apoteer. That's a very good LMS. You can have other LMS like Litmus, again, on the simpler side, but they can do enough to track what you need without breaking the bank. So these are things to consider with your LMS. Before you buy an LMS, consult with someone who is not deeply attached to the specific LMS you want to buy. There is a lot of kickback, graft, and all the other bad things that happen in most software purchases. Don't just buy because somebody recommends. You need to trust the person who's recommending, but you also need to be aware that if they are representatives of the company or if they're getting kickback on the side, that's really unethical. Don't do that. There's a lot of things in business that can be unethical. That's one of them. Make sure you buy something based on a recommendation that is real, honest, for somebody that has no vested interest in you buying any one of those products. Believe me, people get scammed a lot. Don't fall for that trap. Anyway, we'll talk more about LMSs in the future and LCMSs, learning content management systems, in future management consulting tips. For now, keep some of these things in mind. You'll probably be safer when you either use, buy, or implement an LMS. And by the way, LMSs should not take years to implement. Something's wrong if it does. Again, look at vendors, look at your internal staff, try to figure out why things are taking so long. You don't want to milk the implementation of LMS. Not worth the time or money. Anyway, for Management Consulting Tips 101, I'm Rick Zanotti. We'll see you next time. Thanks.